Hello everyone and welcome back. In today's video, I would like to demonstrate how to create digital wireframes and prototype with Figma. To begin with, I have created my final sketches and add them to the current page for review. When you compare those sketches to my earlier iterations, you will notice that those sketches represent the final sketch for each screen. As you can see, I have added much more details to each element, which significantly speed up the wireframing process later on. Here you can see the progression. Start with the finished sketch and then move to the completed wireframe. Notice how the wireframe contains different UI elements. That is very similar to the layout I created in my final sketches. Before we start, let's take a look at the wireframing approach. For each screen, I used different elements to indicate text. First, I use actual text to indicate the current location of the screen and the essential information that is needed for the user. For other information, such as the location of each space and other details, I just use a placeholder to indicate where text will go. I use placeholders for this information because they are not very important and I probably don't need to test those parts during the usability testing in future. However, for other information, such as name of the space, they are very important and later usability testing, I will need to test them. So I'll add actual text. I also use actual text for button labels to make sure my participants can understand when I conduct usability testing later. Additionally, I will use gray blocks to indicate images. And for the map, I also use this approach to indicate that there is a map. Okay, now I will turn off the Figma UI to give you a better view of the overall wireframe here. Here is our overview of the booking process. First, I start with the main dashboard that has my favorite space and the list of the available spaces. For the same screen, I have two different view modes. First is the list view and second is the map view. So I created a duplication of this dashboard to indicate to design that. And here is a booking page. As you can see, here is information about woodshop, a date picker, time picker, and tools picker. For the same page, I have two different states. First is a default state, which means the user just landed on this page and nothing has been selected yet. And then there's a final state, which means the user have selected tools and selected times for this reservation, and they are ready to submit. Before submitting, they will have the preview page to allow them to double check the information. If the information is correct, they can submit. If not, they can go back to the previous page to update the information. After submission, there is a feedback from the system showing the user whether this reservation was made successfully or not. Of course, as I mentioned during the ideation and sketching process, I include this AI feature. So I added here. Basically, this is a conversational UI between the user and the machine or the system. I added a conversation text to simulate and represent this process. How the AI conversation starts and how they will submit their request and what the user can do for next step. Okay, so those are the process flows. When I finish this wireframing stage, I move on to prototyping. When I finish the layout, I start to connect the screens to make the prototype work. Here is my working prototype. The button works. When I switch to different views, they should jump between different pages. And also I can make a reservation by clicking this woodshop and select the time and tools already added, preview it and submit it. And I can also, let's go back to the home page, and I can also use the AI tool here. When I click AI tool, the the conversation UI shows up, and here shows everything, and I can click yes to go to start booking. Alright, that is overview of this prototype and wireframe. And next, let me show you how I created this.